2 years ago, Terence Crawford defeated Errol Spence to become the first male boxer to unify all 4 world titles in the 4-belt era. At the time, he was 35 years old and had only been fighting once a year since 2020. So it was safe to assume Crawford wouldn't top that victory over Spence. He had cleaned out the division and there weren't any real contenders in the weight class above. Everyone expected him to take a few easy fights, cash in on a couple of decent paydays, and quietly retire. But Crawford had other plans. For years he had been preparing himself to take his legacy to new heights. Last month, Crawford didn't just defeat, he dismantled Canelo at super middleweights, becoming the first ever 3-weight undisputed champion. The whole purpose of this video is to get across one thing. Terence Crawford is the greatest modern day boxer since the sport transitioned to a maximum of 12 rounds. I believe he's better than Pacquiao, better than Usyk, and yes, better than Mayweather. And I'll do my best to explain why. The names mentioned might have more world titles across more weight classes. They may even have faced more world champions overall. But here's the thing, Terence Crawford dominates weight classes. He chews out anyone with a strap and spits them back out as if it were an insult to even have them across the ring from him. Crawford's been doing this since the early days of his career, which began at lightweight. After making a name for himself with noteworthy wins over Bradis Prescott, and in his fantastic fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa, he showed the world what an elite boxing technician looks like, punishing opponents when they miss, and with his ability to shift from southpaw to orthodox seamlessly, it's as if his opponents are fighting 2 different boxers at the same time. Then Crawford moved up to light welterweight, where he became undisputed champion for the first time by stopping Julius Indongo with a brutal body shot. Many, including myself, doubted he could do the same at welterweight. The guys there were bigger, stronger, and hit harder. I was a fool. But never has his skill set been more clearly displayed than in the Canelo fight. To understand just how special that win was, we need to understand what makes Canelo so great. Turning pro at 15, Canelo is known for his iron chin and relentless pressure. He breaks down fighters with vicious body shots and elite ring IQ. His resume includes wins over Triple G, Miguel Cotto, Sergey Kovalev, and others. He became a 4-division world champion and the first undisputed super middleweight champ of the 4-belt era. There are world champions who've stepped in the ring with Canelo just hoping to survive. And yet, Crawford moving up 2 weight classes didn't just survive, he dominated Canelo in every round. He made Canelo struggle to land anything of significance, winning a wide, unanimous decision. That's not just a win, it's a historic pound-for-pound achievement. And the craziest part is that Crawford even beat Canelo at his own game. He stood in the pocket, traded shots, and came out on top. I was stunned. He made Canelo look like a meme. Nobody does that to Canelo. Crawford now has 2 marquee victories where he didn't just win, he embarrassed the other guy. We haven't seen dominance like this in decades. Mayweather beat a younger, more raw Canelo at a catchweight. That's not the same as what Crawford just did. Crawford beat Canelo at the weight Canelo had been dominating for years. Pacquiao ran through elite opponents who were willing to trade, but when he faced elite technicians who stayed disciplined and boxed smart, we saw his limitations. Usyk is a heavyweight great. There's no denying that, but his claim to fame is beating decent at best British fighters in a division that's been weak for years. Crawford just beat a guy many consider an all-time great at middleweight and super middleweight, and did so by jumping up 2 weight classes. That surpasses what Usyk has done. Crawford can do it all. He has the tools to beat any and every fighter in history. I truly believe that. Let's compare his win over Canelo to the other all-time great victory that can be compared to it. And remember, this is during boxing's 12-round era. That being Sugar Ray Leonard beating Marvin Hagler, which was insanely impressive, if only for the fact that people still dispute who won that fight to this day. But Crawford dominated Canelo so thoroughly that there's no debate. Crawford made his fight with Canelo look so easy, no one's even asking for a rematch. It's also worth noting that Crawford has never had a split decision win. Every one of his decision wins has been a clear unanimous landslide. He's undefeated like Mayweather, he's a multi-division world champion like Pacquiao, but unlike either of them, he's been undisputed 3 times, and to seal that 3rd time, he beat an all-time great. However, one of the main criticisms I have with Crawford's legacy would be his resume in comparison to other all-time greats. He has 2, 3 at most, elite names on his resume. The rest were either past their prime or didn't belong in the ring with him. I'm looking at you, Jeff Horn. To really drive this point home, Pacquiao, for example, has 6 wins over pound-for-pound stars. Crawford just has 2. But I believe this win over Canelo proves that resume isn't everything, and that his skill set and capabilities outweigh his resume. It's just unfortunate he wasn't a bigger draw earlier on in his career. We could have seen even more of what makes him great. Crawford is not only a pound-for-pound star, he's the epitome of a role model in the sport. He doesn't chase the loud lifestyle like Mayweather, unless we're talking about his classic pre-fight conference Gucci polo. He seems like a grounded family man trying to make the most of decades spent grinding in the ring, chasing legacy over limelight. That's rare today. We've got fighters in the same weight class who bark the loudest, but never make the fights happen. Crawford doesn't duck anybody, and then he proceeds to humiliate his opponents. I hope Crawford retires now. He's only just now getting his flowers, and it's a shame it took this long, but there really isn't anyone worthy of challenging him. Benavidez is perhaps the only fighter that can extend Crawford's legacy further, but Crawford's done enough. However, he may feel he can continue, and how many jobs are there where you can make millions of dollars with 36 minutes of work? Not many. So I think we'll see Crawford for at least a couple more fights. But what do you think? Is Crawford a modern day great? Where does he rank in your all-time list? Let me know in the comments. But for now, goodbye.